The motto of the Fox Business Network is giving people the power to prosper. Well, what really allows people to prosper is being able to start your own business and run it without interference from bureaucrats and tax collectors. However, these days, America's crawling with bureaucrats and tax collectors. They make it hard to run a business. Now and then I try to illustrate that by trying to open my own business. Here's one I called the Stossel store. I tried to sell stuff on the streets of Delaware. You want to buy a Fox t-shirt?
Not right now.
Hey, I didn't say it was a smart business, but this ability to at least try to succeed is important. But America doesn't make it easy. I had to register with the Delaware Secretary of State and Division of Corporations.
Get a federal employee identification number, buy commercial liability insurance, register with the Delaware State Department of Finance.
It was good that I did all that because this cop came over to make sure I had my vending permit. Cost me $10.
Yeah, the city of Wilmington will get you.
All right, but I'm legal, right?
Yeah, you're legal.
But what if I wasn't legal? What if I tried, say, to sell flowers on the street in Hialeah, Florida? There, I could be arrested if my flower stand is close to a flower store, or if I don't constantly move my stand around. The Institute for Justice made this video about that.
Hundreds of people who earn their living as street vendors in Hialeah operate in legal limbo, as the city has turned into a confusing patch of no vending zones.
The Institute is a libertarian law firm that sues governments that limit entrepreneurs' economic freedom. And they've gotten rid of laws that make it very expensive to get a taxi driver's license, and laws that prevent monks from selling caskets. A casket's just a wooden box. Laws that prevent young women from starting hair braiding businesses, and so on. Institute lawyer Elizabeth Foley has now sued the city of Hialeah. She argues that its street vending law is unconstitutional. Raul Martinez was the mayor of the town when the law was passed, and he says, heck no, this law isn't unconstitutional. So, Elizabeth, what's the problem? They're just trying to have an orderly marketplace.
It's not an orderly marketplace, it's complete chaos. It makes it virtually impossible to be an effective street vendor. You can't be within 300 feet of any brick and mortar store that sells the same or similar merchandise. That's absolutely ridiculous for the government to use its power to enact a law like that. What's the purpose of a law like that?
Well, I could say they want to get property taxes from brick and mortar stores, and the street vendor doesn't have to pay those.
Tax issues are tax issues. We're not litigating tax issues here. This is about the right of street vendors to pursue their lawful occupation. It's a lawful occupation. That's like passing a law that says that McDonald's can't set up shop next to a Burger King. These people are just trying to make an honest living, and the city is making it impossible to do so. They say, for example, if you're a flower vendor, it's illegal for you to even set a bucket of flowers on the ground next to your feet.
Yeah, you have to keep moving. How do you sell flowers while you're moving? You get to stop when you're making the sale, right? But then you have to keep strolling along again?
You have to be in constant motion, which is completely unsafe. Even if you're on private property with the permission of the private property owner, you're in a Home Depot parking lot, let's say, you have to constantly move around the parking lot. That makes no sense.
So, Mayor Martinez, why is this a good law?
First of all, you don't want to have everybody in the middle of the streets competing for space on the sidewalk without some sort of regulations. In the city of Hialeah, we're not over-regulating anybody. This is one of those lawsuits that people decide that they want to sue, and they'll do that, and it's okay. But it's not restrictive. We made it very accommodating long before her client and the Institute even came to the city of Hialeah, trust me.
Elizabeth, he says he'd have vendors all over the sidewalks, people wouldn't be able to walk by.
There's absolutely nothing wrong with legitimate laws that protect public health and safety. That's not what these laws are doing. In fact, the only reason for enacting these ordinances is to squelch competition between brick and mortar stores and street vendors. That's not American.
Let him answer.
No, it is not. It is not. Now, you also have to understand that there are other legitimate businesses that do pay property taxes that also have a right to be able to survive because they also create jobs. So what we did back then is we got all the groups together and we came with an ordinance that was satisfactory to all of the parties at the time.
Wait a second. You didn't get all the groups together because no one knows who all the groups are. There might be new people who want to enter this business. You got the established guys together. And let me ask you, do you have family members in the flower business?
No, I don't. Never had.
Okay. Just wanted to ask that. Let me ask Elizabeth, why would I ever open a brick and mortar store and pay property tax if I could save money, maybe $3,000 a year, and just have my cart?
Because these are different types of business models. A florist can offer professional arrangement, a florist can offer delivery, a florist has a bathroom, it has air conditioning. A street vendor is out there on the street, and the way they compete is on price and convenience, because you can drive up and get your flowers and go home quickly. There's nothing wrong with having two different types of business models competing near each other. It happens in America all the time. And it's not legitimate for government to use its incredible power to make one business model have an unfair advantage over another.
Raul, why does this...
You're creating an unfair advantage when you allow that vendor selling in the front of a flower shop the same flowers that the flower shop is selling, and at a much reduced price. So that's unfair competition.
So would it be legitimate to pass a law in Hialeah that said a McDonald's can't be next to a Burger King because they're competing with each other?
No, they're not. You see, you're a typical attorney. You're going apples to oranges. There's two brick buildings, one next to the other, and there are many of those
just because they're brick buildings?
Do not limit it.
But just last question, Mr. Mayor, why do they have to keep moving around all the time?
Because that's the way that it was written years ago, that they must be moving, but they don't. They put their bucket, not what the lady's saying. Look, they put their bucket on the sidewalk.
We're out of time. I'm sorry.
All the time.
Thank you, Raul Martinez and Elizabeth Foley. Next, are you afraid of China? Well, you should be, says my next guest, who says China's prosperity threatens us. I say, no, it doesn't. And we'll debate that next.